I am so happy to be here. Welcome to Media Mondays. I'm El Michelle. Oh my gosh, there's so much going on. I'm just so happy to really have a space to kind of talk out some things that are going on and to be joined by just a creative that I respect so much and a fellow storyteller. So today we're going to continue our series on immersive media. We're going to be talking about immersive storytelling, among some other things. But I had to say, I'm so happy to be here because there is really all around us so much just happening within the African American race. I'm just so glad to be here to be able to speak consciously about things and find unique ways for us to just really tell our stories and just really get the word out about what is truly going on. So if you are out there on YouTube or Facebook, please share this feed because I believe some of the things that we are going to talk about today are going to be really worth hearing, especially about how we tell our stories on different levels and just getting the word out, period. I have, like many of my African-American friends over the past couple of weeks or so, heard from friends of other races who just want to talk about issues, want to just say, what can we do to help? And I believe media and having platforms like this will keep the discussion going and hopefully really bring about change. And that's what we're talking about today. How we tell our stories in new ways, how we bring about change, just issues in general, and not being afraid to talk about these issues. So today is a day where my friend for the past couple of years working together on projects at historically Black colleges and universities, Alton is here. He is the founder of GRX Immersive Labs, and he's done some great work. Most recently, he did a reenactment in virtual reality of Dr. MLK's I Have a Dream speech. That whole scene, he did it in virtual reality, and he did it with the assistance or in partnership with Time Magazine. So he's been out there before all of this, making sure that our voices were heard. I just want to show you a little bit of his work, and then he'll be back to talk to us.
I'm all you got.
I don't need you. I don't need anybody.
Make sure Santa Claus gives Lawrence whatever he wants.
You play until there's no money left on the table.
He came with his fiance, a.k.a. his cousin.
Oh, this is creepy.
We kept the receipt for that ring.
Oh.
I know what's going on, and we need to deal with it.
Good friends are hard to find, and they're impossible to forget.
Virtual reality to me offers just infinite possibilities.
You connect to a movie as if it's your story. You're sitting there, it's dark, and it's all about you.
It never gets old to me to see the creativity. I just leave every campus really excited for the future of these students.
Listen, that was so lit, and look who's here. My friend Alton Glass. Oh my God, so much great work. How you doing? Good morning your time, and good afternoon from here. How's it going, friend?
I'm thankful, grateful, and appreciate you, having me join you today, and everybody out there, taking the time out to get together and dialogue. So thank you. Feeling great.
Yeah, I mean, look, people are commenting. My one friend, Shayna, what's going on? Shayna said the intro was everything, point blank, period. You know what I mean? And the intro is real. This is work you've done. So tell us a little bit about you and the work that you've done.
Where do I start? So my background is I've been an entrepreneur pretty much all my life. Born in Detroit, Raised in Atlanta half my life. My dad just pretty much taught me if I wanted to, an opportunity, I had to go create it. So I remember moving to Georgia and started my first little business. And after that, I really fell in love with storytelling and filmmaking. After I saw the 5 Heartbeats when I was young, and I said I want to make movies. I want to be a director now, and that's what I pursued. So I moved to LA, and I went to school for cinematography and camera with this really wonderful program where I joined the union called Hollywood Cinema Production .org, which was a nonprofit program at the time. And from there, I just really focused on, really finding my voice and really focused on creating narratives, that I felt were compelling and powerful, to the culture, and helping me, shape who I am as a man. And then about maybe 5 years ago, I made several films. I made a film called Crew, The Confidant, and several television movies. And then I just fell in love with virtual reality about maybe 5 years ago. And it just really brought me back to that feeling you get, when you're a child, where your imagination just runs wild. And it just really showed me that, there was infinite possibility in this new space called immersive media or immersive economy. And how could I bring over those compelling narratives into this new space? And that's where I've been the past 5 years, really dedicated to the advancement of knowledge and immersive storytelling, and emerging technology and creative entrepreneurship with my company, GRX Immersive Labs.
So you were filmmaker, and what I respect about you is, like, before, and I don't even want to like make it seem like before it was cool, but before it was really center stage, different issues that we were facing as a race, you were already producing stories in that space. We were already empowering the next generations of creators at HBCUs. Like, to see what's happening now, where did you find the confidence to tell our story in this new medium? You know what I mean? Or was it just always what you felt like, you were designed to do?
I think it's a combination of things. Once you sort of figure out what you're good at and what you can bring, you just become sort of a vessel to leveraging what you can bring, to help other people, in terms of shaping their voice or their business or whatever it is that we can use to pour back into each other. So storytelling has just always been that place for me, and entrepreneurship has always been that place for me, where I feel like fruit has been produced in those areas, in so many different levels, spiritually, mentally, physically, financially. It's just an abundant area that I think can impact so many people's lives. And for me, VR was an opportunity to make sure that the future, storytellers and media makers of tomorrow had an opportunity to build that table. It's right. Like it's no longer about getting a seat at the table, but this was an opportunity to build it, right? Like from the ground up. Like, what is this going to be in 10 years from now? And if I could be at the very early stage of that, I realized that we could create something that we didn't have to fight about inclusivity. You know what I mean? We didn't have to be in a position where we had to ask for permission. And I think that it's a great space to, like Buckminster Fuller said, don't fight against the old system, create a new one, right? So for me, it's like, what? How can I leverage my storytelling tools and my skills and transfer my skills over to something else? And the immersive economy was that. It was, there's so many talented people out there, whether it's going to college or expanding their business. How do we build an ecosystem that's new and refreshing? And it has nothing to do with, whether you're black or white or whatever. It's just, how do we carve out a new piece of the pie, a new opportunity for everyone to share their voice and create and have sustainability, most importantly, in this new
Right.
in this new ecosystem.
So we're talking about it. If y'all just joining us, welcome to Media Mondays. My friend Alton Glass from GRX Immersive Labs is here, and we're talking about immersive media, but I don't think we kind of defined, what that means. So it is a medium, like you have the internet, like you have TV, like you have radio, and then you have immersive media. And so immersive media gives you a sense of presence. It gives you depth. How would you describe it, Alton? I mean, it encompasses the realities, virtual and augmented reality. How would you simplify immersive media?
One thing that's cool about that is it's constantly evolving, right? And somebody now may create something that may add on to the language and the grammar of immersive, right? And immersive is just, for me, it's been an opportunity to understand how I create a user experience that goes beyond just the frame, right? You got a 2D frame, but in immersive, I can bring you into the frame, bring your body into the frame, or I can create an engaging experience, whether it be AR, augmented reality. I've seen just audio experiences that can be immersive, just audio only. So it's really thinking about how do you leverage a user's or someone's senses in various different ways. You know what I mean? Some people are using smell. Some people are using sound only. Some people are using on just tactile touch. There's so many ways you can immerse someone into an experience outside of just a 2D window. And that,
so they're no longer passive.
Yeah.
Right. So they're active. They're active participants in it, in whatever we're creating. Now, I know you, before we get to the piece that you did with time, but I know you did a piece that's really relevant to now, and it's called Point of View, where you talked about interactions with the police and things like that. Before we talk about the piece, though, what is your response to everything that's going on right now in our country as it relates to our race and what we're seeing with the police, what's been happening, but what we're seeing now, more so through videos? Like, what has been your response? What are you saying to your children? What are you saying out there in Los Angeles? Like, what's your response to this?
My response to this is really just seeing how I can support getting the proper narratives out there, right? And that's really, really important to me, because as storytellers, you see one side of the media that you can really get bombarded with, that tell a certain story, and you see another side of the narrative that's telling a different story. So my response is to just take a step back and just really see it from a bird's eye view of how can I be intentional in the direction that I want to go to make the most impact. And for me, that's storytelling, and that's an investment, and that's entrepreneurship, and that's really figuring out how we build new systems, right? Let's not fight and go backwards, because we know that there's just been a Band-Aid on this wound for hundreds and hundreds of years. So it's like, well, you have one side, you have the youth that are out there, and like King said, that's the language, riots are the language of the unheard. So yes, they're going out there and they're making it known that, we're not going to take this anymore, because they see the world from a very different vantage point than the way that I was raised when I grew up, which, some of our parents taught us to, they were taught to survive and assimilate, to make sure that they could build something for themselves. But now today, the youth, I think they have a great opportunity to create opportunities for themselves, whether it be digital, content. They don't have the same constructs and restrictions to say, it's not about living in a neighborhood and being comfortable. It's about making change, because I no longer have to live within these constructs. And you have storytellers going out there creating and getting on the grounds and let you know this is what's really happening, and this is how we're gonna make a change and make a difference. And you have on the other side to that, which are people who are like, you know what, let's just build something. Let's invest money. Let's build something here. And you have organizations that are non-Black that are like, you know what, we don't want to live in a world that is built within this systemic racism system. So let us invest and build things that are new and will change that narrative. So for me, I'm just sitting back, just really, really downloading how I can continue to play a part in changing that narrative. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and one thing I'll say about the younger generation, you know, if we need any indication of their fearlessness and how they are going to be these world builders, we could look at Darnella Frazier. She is the one who recorded the footage of George Floyd.
Yeah.
And she's 17.
Yeah.
And she recorded with accuracy. I mean, my phone probably would have been on the ground. I don't know. But that just goes to show you that we have a generation now that knows that, they're on another level. I don't know that she knew how far or what the impact would have been of, that moment that she just got into that moment. But, we are turning a corner, and I see that the young people are pushing that turn like never before.
Well,
and so I'm behind them.
Well, to your point, you made a good point about the youth and how young this young lady was. And one of the things that I really enjoyed about working on the march, the timepiece about MLK and the march, was we did a lot of history, a lot of digging into how this movement was brought about. And it was the young people of that time period. Like a lot of people don't know, there's this thing that they say that they call, we had to, our challenge it's called the 9-word problem. And the 9-word problem is when you sum up civil rights in 9 words, which is Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, I have a dream. And that's what you're taught, right? And a lot of people don't know, Rosa Parks was not the first one to be arrested for boycotting on the bus. It was a 15-year-old girl named Claudette Colvin who sparked that first. And as a result of her being pregnant at that time, they didn't want her to be the face of the movement. So she had to go in the background, and then they strategically organized. And then Rosa Parks was the one that moved it forward with the attorney and brought in King. So, and then before that, during the Birmingham riots, with Bull Connor and all that type of stuff, a young lady named Reverend Webb, she was only around 15, and when King went down there to go against this racist regime around that time, it was the young kids that stood up in the church that said, "Hey, we'll go out and they trained strategically these young kids, literally kids, how to cover each other and stack up on each other when the dogs and the hoses were coming in. And they taught them how to protect themselves in a strategic nonviolent movement. A lot of people think nonviolent movements were not they would go sit in these chairs and do role playing and have people spit on you, shout at you before you would go out into the streets. Because you got to think of how much patience and power it takes to resist someone, to resist yourself from protecting yourself from someone bashing you in your face or spitting on you, right? So it was the young kids that were like 17, 18, even like Hank Thomas. He was one of the youngest freedom riders who he had bombs thrown on his bus, but he actively trained to go out there and share that message and share those stories. And it's the youth that really was the backbone to the civil rights movement. And that's why the storytellers of today, when you see a young girl like that, she catches that video of George Floyd and that video goes viral. And now it's like this. One match, it don't take one match to set a whole forest on fire. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what happened. You know what I mean? And that's what it takes when you show your voice as a storyteller. You know what I mean? What you can do and how you can inspire other people. So the youth I guess are the answer. And for me, VR has been a seed that I just wanted to lay the foundation for, because I know that's an industry that they're going to continue to grow and build and bring something new that I can't even see yet.
Yeah. And so we've been empowering them. I know we did a couple of boot camps at FAMU working on VR projects, of which they were able to, the students there were able to produce like 2-minute VR pieces. I think one was involving school safety at the time, and then there was another type of storyline. But can you tell us about your point of view, POV piece in VR? That was a project you did with Google, I know, because I heard about that. Like, we got this filmmaker out in LA that's making a piece. What it was, point of view, right?
Oh,
POV?
yeah. POV.
Yeah. So tell us about that project a little bit.
Hold on, let me make sure. There's a lot of people do Photoshop videos. Online. I want to make sure y'all know this is water, so nobody will Photoshop a video saying I had a Coke 45.
Right. We appreciate. Thank you for that disclaimer, and I made sure we put you full screen on camera for that. But tell us.
No meme online talking about Alton glasses.
Right. So anyway, tell us about POV. Shout out to everybody who's tuned into this talk. Thank you for my husband who's on there, Chris. He says that's real talk that you gave, great history lesson. And then I think I'm gonna pronounce this right. Tiago Bertrand is saying that was good history, and that VR is the next medium probably is what he means. So talk to me about POV a little bit, and then I'm gonna put a link in the comments if our listeners or viewers want to go see it. But talk to us a little bit about that piece.
So POV is called, it stands for points of view. And it's an experience about how one angle can change a narrative, right? And similar to what you talked about with the young lady who filmed George Floyd. So as they release different angles, of an experience, you may see a body cam, you may see a surveillance cam, a phone camera. And one angle can shift the perspective of a narrative, right? So the film is about how we have all of these new technologies, pretty much access to surveillance in our lives. And now as we move forward into the future, how will that impact us as it relates to artificial intelligence into systems of policing and government and so forth. And the film is about a young man who is really talented and gifted, and he makes a mistake in college and he gets arrested. And when he's up for parole, he qualifies for an early release program where he has to have an artificial intelligent drone follow him around like a parole officer. And that is a new program administered into law enforcement called the Drone Law Enforcement Agency to essentially cut back on mass incarceration and police brutality. So he's like the first one in this program. And one side wants to really see him succeed, and the other side, they have other plans that this technology will police systems. And right now they do have predictive policing that they're doing through artificial intelligence and all these predictive, these different technologies. So it's about how this young man basically befriends this technology, and he teaches it a completely different narrative about who he is and his humanity. And then you see the juxtaposition of how this AI technology is being trained in law enforcement, and how if we don't be careful, the same systems of oppression that we're dealing with now could replicate into our technologies. Essentially, like, years ago you had, people who were going to get loans and they would get redlined and they wouldn't get loans for their businesses or their houses, right? Now, at the click of a button, you can apply for a loan, and according to your geographic code, zip code, or where you live or your insurance, it could easily put you in the same situation to, redline you with technology. Or, for myself, I remember when I was young, I had 3 DUIs by the time I was 21, and I was able to clean my life up. But had I went to a judge who was dealing with with technologies that would have given me an algorithm and said, you know what, this is a young third-time offender, let's give him 2 years, that would have been 2 years of my life going down the drain. But as a result, I've been able to change my life and move in a different direction. But unfortunately, there are other people who are getting sentenced through technologies that are creating algorithms around themselves. And algorithms are essentially the new narratives in our technology.
Wow.
So we have to be mindful of what we put out. And that's what the film is about, how these various points of view can shift a narrative through these different algorithms.
Wow. I did put in the comment about the piece. That's interesting that you say that about the algorithms, and how at the end of the day, behind technology is people. So if we don't change the mindset of people, then the same systems will just keep they'll just kind of translate into different forms. So I want to go back to this though, how you said by 21 you were on this path that if someone looked at from one direction, they could have sent you down a really bad road, but you made a change. And then you talked about the algorithms picking up on things like that. We talk to teens all the time and young people about how every decision they're making has something attached to it until they begin to make those changes. How important is that, do you think, to make sure that our teens are aware of what they're doing is not just going into outer space, even what they're doing digitally on the social networks and things like that? All of it plays a role. Wouldn't you say that in the narrative?
Yeah, I think, just being intentional, and I think that, everything starts with the narrative. So really being intentional, and really understanding your DNA, what I call your deep narrative analysis, what you put out, you know what I mean? Garbage in, garbage out, and being able to understand that that's a trail, like that's a now becoming a digital imprint. So whatever you plant into this cloud or this collective consciousness, now is going to live in a whole new space. You know what I mean? So we don't want to perpetuate the same narratives into our future technologies that will be essentially a big fabric of our lives.
Wow. What did you say your acronym for DNA? You gave that?
Oh, deep narrative analysis. It's just really understanding, your own narrative first, and then how you process everything that goes into the direction you're going. You know what I mean? So you can be very intentional about what you sow in your garden, like understanding and identifying what's in your garden, because we got a lot of personal trauma we got to unpack too. You know what I mean? As storytellers, and I think that's also good, because it can help you, once you've identified that, how to help someone else heal or tell a story to help someone get through something. I made a film about schizophrenia years ago, and mental illness in the Black community, and there were a lot of people who really connected to that, who did express the things that they deal with, because it's you're taught to be strong and powerful as an African American, that you have to be strong, and I think there's a false narrative behind that, of how you have to really open up and be vulnerable sometimes, to share where you are in a certain space in your life, so you can alter and change your narrative.
Wow. That's interesting that you say that. I know we only have like a couple more minutes, but I've been wearing these smart glasses. These happen to be made by Snapchat for the past 2 years that have helped me. I call it immersive journaling, just a new type of way to document life. That's what I'm on, right? This, but they've helped me to unpack things, because a lot of times people can't tell you, because you put up a wall, right, of defense of what's really going on with you. And then you block it out, but you never really deal with the problem. So when I could see it from a more immersive perspective, I could make some changes. And so I think, that what you said about that deep narrative analysis is very powerful, and it resonates. And we have to do that if we're going to be legit storytellers, right? We got to deal with where we are.
Yeah, that's true. And there's some great projects out there right now that really tap into this. If you want to learn more about artificial intelligence and how it, could impact us in the future, there's a great documentary called Coded Bias right now. You can watch at the Human Rights Watch Film Festival right now. There's really dope content on there. There's a great piece out right now that chronicles, remember, Black Wall Street, that happened years ago when, African Americans had, their independence in certain towns, and their city was burnt down. It's called Greenwood Avenue by a dope filmmaker named Ayanna Baraka. You can catch that now on YouTube VR. There's another dope young filmmaker named Tiago. He's out there in the streets right now shooting VR content, doing the protests. It's called Everything VR on YouTube. You can find that. So it's a lot of people out there really, really pushing to capture these narratives and bring something new, an experience to them. Because when you jump into VR, it's like Will said, he said, it gives you these prosthetic memories, right? And you tapping into cell memory when you're experiencing VR, right? Because you come out like, wow, I was there. And I love what you're doing with these snap glasses, because if you're a filmmaker and you're out right now to protest, you definitely need to have on a pair of snap glasses creating content, you know what I mean, from every angle, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that's really, really dope. And I commend you for that, like leveraging these technologies in that way, which is really cool.
Well, how can we find you? It seems like all these recommendations, you got to put them on your website so we can just go there and see everything we need to know. Tell us what's next for you and how we can contact you. Like what are you working on next? We didn't get a chance to talk about the timepiece, but I'll drop it in the comments so they could see more about what you did with time. If you want to say something briefly about that, please.
Well, we'll be actually showcasing it. Some really great pieces on Wednesday. I have a Zoom session called GRX Immersive 101, and we're going to actually have the head of time from the immersive department, Mia Trams, come on, and we're going to walk you through the entire process, of transitioning into immersive and sharing your voice and your narratives in immersive. And we're going to talk you through the different processes and the things we did with creating the time Martin Luther King piece, and we'll have some really dope storyboards just to kind of show you the process and how you can get started. And then if you like, I'll be able to send you different templates and stuff like that to get on your way and start creating and give you some tools and some resources. And then if you go on my website, we have a free download, which is like some really great terms of how you can get started in VR at grximmersive.com. And if you email me, I can send you more tools and resources to studio@grximmersive.com. And then you can also hit me up on social. I'm always available. I check my inbox and stuff like that personally as well from time to time at Alton Glass VR on Instagram, or GRX Immersive Labs on Instagram as well. And we have a team where we just want to continue building that tribe and creating and supporting each other. So, if you got anything, please post it. And we're going to create a resource page so people can actually put information on there too when you find cool things that are really helpful as well.
Well, we appreciate it. I appreciate you stopping by. I asked you and you were like, yo, just give me the date and time. So we really appreciate everything you share. Again, you can check him out on his website, the whole GRX team. Tell Amanda and Oscar I said, what's good? Love them. The whole GRX team. And then, like you said, the talk is on Wednesday. Can we find that on your website or your Twitter too? So we want to make sure that we support it.
The website and on my on the Instagram as well. It'll be on Zoom. It'll be a live session. It's gonna be great with Amanda Shelby, great XR producer, and Oscar Torres, really great with digital strategy. So tune in. We're just building the tribe, and teamwork make the dream work. So anyway, we can pour into you all, and share resources. That's what we're here for.
And we did just post in the comments, everybody, just some information about the timepiece, the most recent VR piece by Alton Glass in partnership with Time, and the actress too, Miss Davis. Is that right?
Who's this?
What the actress you partnered with for the timepiece?
Viola Davis was the executive producer.
Right,
yeah.
Right. And so it's just such a impactful piece. Can't wait to really be able to see that. I know we've been distancing, so But anyway, we'll be glad to come on that talk on Wednesday. And we really appreciate you. Is there anything else that we didn't cover here?
I just posted the link for you in the private chat. If you want to share the flyer, if anyone wants to check it out on Wednesday.
Okay. All right. I'll share that right now. And we appreciate y'all tuning in. That's what Media Mondays is all about. Sometimes a lot of times we see the media, but the people behind it, we don't get a chance to talk to. And I love to talk to people who are faith conscious. I know your faith is a big part of what you do, Alton. We have a lot of discussions about faith and culturally aware too. And so that's what Media Mondays is all about. And again, if you want to go to that event on Wednesday, it is in the comments. Alton Glass, GRX Immersive. Alton, I really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you. I love what you're doing. Keep it up. You know what I mean? I love how you continue to keep planting those seeds, and I continue to see it grow. And you're doing amazing work. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And we'll see y'all next time.